Hi guys, the Benidorm Enthusiast here with Benidorm Stuff YouTube channel. I've got my skates back on today and I'm going to take you for a skate down the Levante beachfront so you can see how it's looking down here now the madness of the fiestas has passed. And I'll be telling you about some important recent news announcements, such as the introduction of the COVID certificate for access to bars. So it's very quiet in Benidorm right now, these few weeks after the November fiestas and before the build up to Christmas are some of the quietest of the year. There are some people here, it's not completely empty, but there aren't many tourists, and it is a strong contrast to the scenes we witnessed throughout the fiesta period. And some people prefer it like this. I know some people that come specifically at this time of year because it is so quiet and that's what they enjoy. I always say there's something for everybody in Benidorm. You could come here 6 or 7 times a year and have a completely different holiday each time you come, depending on the time of year you choose. It is also a very cheap time to come. There are some real bargains for holidays at this time of year, worth checking out if you prefer a peaceful Benidorm. The sun is still shining bright and look at those beautiful blue skies. We have had some more freaky weather recently, hailstorms the size of golf balls. They fell during the night a few days ago and left places covered in white the next day. It looked like it had been snowing, but it was in fact ice. It was quite scary. I thought my windows were going to go through at one point. The stones were crashing against them with such force. But it didn't last long and the next day was glorious sunshine again, just like we have today. It is quite cool for November. Temperatures today are around 16 degrees. I know that's summer weather for a lot of you guys in the UK and Ireland, but for us here all year round, it's pretty nippy. And as soon as that sun goes in on an evening, you really feel it. It's been getting down to single figures overnight the last few days. Baltic. So if you are coming out soon, do bring some warm clothes for the nights. It really does get chilly. It is set to warm up a little bit next week with temperatures set to get back up between 18 and 20 degrees and staying in double figures overnight. Much more bearable. And lots more sunshine forecast over the next week or so too. So what's been happening in the news recently then? Well, on to COVID numbers. They are on the rise all over Spain. Not so dramatically as has been seen in other parts of Europe. The 14-day incidence for Spain is around 160 per 100,000 cases. Most of Spain is in the medium risk level going on case numbers by the new traffic light risk system. That's not the only indicator they use now to assess the COVID risk. They concentrate more on hospital pressure, and going on that data, Spain is low risk level with the hospital bed occupancy 6% COVID patients throughout Spain. As far as vaccination goes, 80% are fully vaccinated in Spain, and they have now started on the boosters for the over 70s, with the next age group set to start very soon. So how does our region, the Valencia region, compare with that? Well, the 14-day incidence has just increased above the national average. It's currently 167 per 100,000. Hospital pressure has also increased slightly, but it remains at low risk. In Benidorm itself, the incidence rate is considerably higher at 435 per 100,000. It's a long way off some of the highest districts in the region. To put it in perspective, there are 6 districts that have an incidence of more than 1,000 per 100,000. So in comparison, Benidorm isn't that bad. And the hospitals in our area are still coping well, as most cases are not requiring hospital treatment. But hospital pressure is on the rise slowly along with contagions, and that's what we need to keep our eye on. Now, more so than the case numbers. The numbers are going to be going up and down forever. COVID isn't going away. We do have to learn to live with it and stop being so afraid of these case numbers. Vaccination rates in our region are high, 80% fully vaccinated, over 90% when you apply the numbers to the population over 12. And again, they are starting with the boosters now. So what more can people do? We can't carry on forever bringing in restrictions. It's just nuts, if you ask me. It's gone on too long. We are almost 2 years since the initial lockdown now. There has to come a point where we start living normally. Are they going to bring in restrictions over Christmas to tackle the rise in numbers? Well, this is what has been in the news a lot here over the last week or so. And it brings me on to the COVID certificate situation. The Valencian government have stated they do not want to bring in any more restrictions for the Christmas period. Early closing times for bars and things like that will be an absolute last resort if the strain on health services gets too high. But what they do want to do and have asked the courts to implement is the mandatory use of the COVID certificate for certain situations. Now, this hasn't been confirmed yet. The courts have to pass it and then it has to be decreed. So we don't have all the small details yet, but it is looking likely that it will come into force before December bank holiday here, which is it's next weekend. Specifically, Friday the 3rd of December has been mentioned as the date when they want to have all this in place. Ximo Puig, who is head of the Valencian government, appeared in a press conference on Thursday to give us a summary of what they have asked the courts to support, and I'll go through that with you now. First of all, what is the COVID certificate? The COVID certificate, or COVID passport if you want to call it that, is the document that proves your COVID status. You can obtain it here in the Valencia region 3 ways. If you're fully vaccinated, if you've had a recent negative test result, specifically less than 72 hours for a PCR or 48 for an antigen, or the third way is if you have recovered from COVID in the last 180 days. Now, if the government's proposal gets the backing of the courts, then this will be necessary to enter certain venues from next weekend. So, larger indoor venues with a capacity of more than 50 people, bars, restaurants, nightclubs, places like that, as well as entertainment venues such as casinos and bingo halls are all included. It will also be needed to enter hospitals and retirement homes, and music festivals were mentioned on the list too. It has been said that it won't be needed for the terraces of establishments, which is going to be interesting. How do people go to the toilet if they're having a beer outside? I don't know. As I said before, we don't have all the details yet, and it hasn't even been accepted by the courts yet. So there's a lot of questions that I can't answer. My gut feeling is that it's going to be an absolute nightmare to try and implement, to be honest. It's too much to put on businesses which are already stretched to the limits on minimum staff. But we will see what happens, and we will try and get details out to you as soon as they are confirmed or not, whichever way it goes, which will be next week. What else is coming up in Benidorm? Well, it's the half marathon this weekend. We will try and cover that for you on some of our platforms. If we can't get a video done for YouTube, make sure you follow us on our other social media accounts at the Benidorm Enthusiast, as we do cover all sorts of things on there too. What would you like to see in our upcoming videos? Are there any of you guys coming out for Christmas or New Year? Is there anything you'd like to know? Let us know in the comments. We make these videos for you guys at the end of the day to keep you informed and entertained. So do let us know what you want to see. Before I log off today, I have to say a massive thank you to everyone who's been over to see us, and thanks to everyone who's brought cards gifts, goodies, been spoiled rotten. You guys are really, you are too kind, honestly. Totally blown away by your generosity. And of course, everyone that has given contributions to help us continue with these videos and to help us with the channel. We are constantly investing in new equipment to make the videos better, and we couldn't do any of that without the support of you guys. So thank you so much. If you do want to send us a contribution, you can do so via the PayPal link in the video description. That's all from me today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed this video, seeing a little bit of sunshine down here on Levante beachfront. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, folks. It costs absolutely nothing to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And click on the bell so you receive notifications every time we have a new video out. And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at the Benidorm Enthusiast. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay positive and stay safe.